terms of standing up to developers, with all due modesty, believe that I am second to no one in having stood up and clearly and specifically, and sometimes maybe coming close to the line and perhaps crossing over in terms of rudeness, stood up to developers. When they had the plan to move the church that's next to the hospital, was going to move to what is now Ojai Meadow Preserve, and the hospital was going to expand, I stood up and accused Mr. Taft, who owned the land, of raping the land at a council meeting. And he nearly came after me, but I don't believe in mincing words. I speak clearly and directly. When Rite Aid wanted to move into Bowling Alley, I formed the Citizen for a Chain-Free Ojai. And every time I typed that out, when I'd write a letter to the editor, and even when I spoke, I would misspeak, and it would come out Citizens for a Chain-Free Ojai. It was just me, but the acronym, the organization that I had behind me gave added weight to when I spoke. And it was Rite Aid that led me and the Citizens for a Chain-Free Ojai to travel to Massachusetts. The organization was the National Endowment for the Preservation of the Historic Trust. And everybody was kind of surprised that somebody came to and was worried about Rite Aid, because they were all worried about Walmarts. But in our town, being so small, a Rite Aid would have had the effect of a Walmart on a bigger community. I spoke out, I don't know how many planning commission meetings and city council meetings I spoke out at regarding Los Arboles. Opposed to Los Arboles, opposed to Los Arboles. I'm still opposed to Los Arboles. The reasons that I gave, first of all, Los Arboles is in a village mixed use zone. And when they were planning the village mixed use zone area, they had a series of public meetings. And there were hundreds of people who came out, and they prepared a wonderful booklet, more than a booklet, book about the results of all these meetings. Mr. Schmeigel, who's the builder of Los Arboles, never came forward and said, you know what? I'm going to build 4,000 square foot, $1 million condominiums. What do you all think about that? He didn't do that. And nobody that I know, I don't think they have a whole lot of things listed as to what people came up with they wanted to see there. And no citizen wanted 4,000 square foot luxury condominiums that looked like they should be in Westlake Village, that were originally designed with gates to make sure the riffraff didn't walk through in the village mixed use zone. And one of my concerns, of course, it's not mixed at all. There's one commercial unit and 27, I believe, residential. And my concern was that would be the building, the foundation that other developers would look at when they wanted to build on the rest of Montgomery Street, which is village mixed use. And that's exactly what happened when they proposed the plans to build on the property right next to the Art Center. Was 3 more condominiums that took up, in terms of square footage, over 80% of the plan, with maybe 20% being a real small storefront. But it fit in with Los Arboles. You know, and one of the things last time I ran 4 years ago, at the initial meeting that all the candidates had with city officials, and I imagine they'll invite us to that this time. Maybe they assume we've been through it before and they don't have to bother this time. But I specifically asked our city attorney and city manager, and the question I asked them was, it is my understanding that the general plan says that buildings should be consistent with small town village. Does that mean, as a member of a council, I can vote no on a project if, in my honest, good faith belief, a plan which otherwise fits the zoning does not comport with village, small town. And they said yes. And that's the point I tried to make over and over and over and over at city council meetings with respect to Los Arboles. And while we got some modifications, and Tom Bostrom did a wonderful job planning things there, and I know that some of the people who live there love it, and that's fine. But it's not village, it's not mixed use, it's not Ojai. And I stood up and lost that battle, but didn't stop talking about it. And still not talking about it because it still has the effect. It's still, when they want to tear down Wachters had to get rid of a lot of their animals because the people in those luxury condos didn't like having animals next door to them. The people in the luxury condos, I talked about the people in the luxury condos being upset with the music from the music festival. And sure enough, they got complaints. The police received complaints during the music festival. I've spoken out against the destruction of the Mallory Way cottages, which are de facto affordable housing units, small condos that they want to build, small cottages that they want to build huge condos, the cottages in the woods, the little places on Aliso Street, cottages in the flowers, that they've approved. The city's already approved the destruction of those little cottages to build more luxury condos. And again, the first time I spoke was about the destruction of the Krishnamurti Foundation property. So I stood up against the developers. I will continue to. You can build things. Things will change. You can't have everything remain exactly the same as it always was forever and ever and ever, because stagnation is death. And I recognize that. So it's not that I'm opposed to change, it's just that we should be able to have more control over the change rather than the developers having control over the change. And that's what I will do as council person, metaphorically.
All right, everyone. That is it for the forum. And I thank you all for coming out tonight, and I'd like to have another round of applause for our
I think we're supposed to shake hands now. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.